welcome to 8 Tracks, a show where we look at 8 tracks that share a theme. This week's theme is Note Perfect Guitar Solos. Now, as always, we want you to follow along to the playlist provided, either on Spotify or on YouTube. So you can either listen to track 1, as we say track 1, or you can listen to it all before. We don't care, we just want you to have heard the music. As always, joined by Katie.
Sup, sluts.
So we're now up on iTunes and Spotify, so
I love that the very first word
Sup,
that I put
sluts.
on our brand new on Spotify
Listeners.
podcast is sup, sluts. Yes.
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 So yeah,
Brand
welcome.
new mic as well.
Yeah, brand new
Sexy
mic through my audio interface and that. Jeez, what were we using to record that before?
It was a tin with a piece of
I was
string in it.
yeah, I was going to say, you were in one tree house, I was in another. We were all shouting
Ham
quite a lot.
radios.
So yeah, this episode took longer than we thought it was because, I'll be honest, one of us struggled a bit more than the others, and that's my fault for picking this list.
It's no. Let's not have a relationship breakdown on the podcast, but I couldn't pick songs and you picked a topic that I really struggled with. So if you thought that I talk shit in every other episode, wait till you see me try and fill time today. Oh yeah, pig.
I'll jump in and help as much as I can.
You have musical talent. I can play the spoons on my knees.
Well, that is a talent,
I can't actually. I lied. I lied.
Why would you lie about that?
I don't know. It felt like the right thing to do.
So yeah, I think I'd gone for a theme with my. Alright, I think my initial idea for this playlist was a theme of underrated guitar solos, and then I realised some of these aren't really that underrated. They're quite well recognised. So I was just like, no, perfect will do. No, perfect will do.
Good riffs. Person play guitar.
It's a solo.
Acceptable. Fucking riff solo. First of all, you can get fucked.
Right, I'm first up this week, and I'm afraid, become your old dad. It is Reelin' in the Years by Steely Dan. Track 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was the daft of Daz, Steely Dan. Yeah, see?
That's
see?
not funny.
With Reelin' in the Years.
I seen a tweet the other day. It was about status quo, but I feel like we can apply it to here. It was Richie Morgan who tweeted that he was listening to so much status quo that he could feel his skin becoming denim. He was turning into the ultimate dad, and that's you. You're becoming the denim dad.
I am, but right. You can't deny the solos in that song are pure face metal.
You're about to get a beaded headdress.
No, like my granddad.
2 minutes away from getting a beaded headdress.
You can't deny those sort of face melting solos, though.
They made me do a bit of the old head wobble.
I know. I saw you did a wee bop to them as well.
I wanted you to know I was listening, so I like to react physically.
So with each solo I picked in this, I tried to steer clear of really obvious ones that everybody talks about, like Comfortably Numb,
Yeah.
or like the solo from Mr. Crowley or Crazy Train, which are like all some of my favourite solos. I wanted to kind of highlight ones that I don't think are as well known. And to be fair, with Reelin' in the Years, this is probably the most famous solo I've picked today. And this and the last song kind of represent a style of solos. This kind of like early 70s kind of guitar odyssey sound. So you could, you'd class your Leonard Skinnards or your Neil Young kind of solos in that same category.
Sure, right.
But I think that is one of the most coordinated, it was really masterfully written, really well choreographed solos. Like a lot of solos can get a bit guitar wanky. They can just be like Zakk Wylde fucking 2-hand tapping until his hands bleed, or like 10 minutes later.
It's a bit masturbatory, doesn't it?
I can't be arsed with that.
Nah.
Those are clipped and they have little segments that go into each other, built really nicely. That's the foundation of a fantastic solo.
Okay.
And I think that my favourite bit of that is the little, I don't even know if it's technically a solo. I think it is, but the little do 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 do, that bit. It's my favourite bit. Is when that kicks in and there's two of them playing, one of them doing like a fifth, I think it's like a fifth or a third up note wise of the same solo, but they're playing completely in sync, and it's two guitars doing that absolute face melting bit.
Right.
Before it kicks into like the solo proper, but it's just such a perfect little section.
Yeah.
That the first time I heard it, as like in recent years, I was like, that is fucking genius. be prepared for a lot of rants like that on this episode.
It's really sad that we don't record a wee video here because I'm mostly nodding.
Yeah, you're mostly nodding.
I'm just like, yes, interesting. Tell me more about the man touching the guitar with his fingers.
Because I'll be honest, the rest of that song, I like the chorus, but
I was going to say you don't like the chorus. Are you reeling in the hills?
It's good. It's good.
That's great. Sorry, everyone.
Like I like the chorus, but like the verses are a bit,
It just sounds like a
you
Steely
wouldn't
Dan
know a
song.
diamond in the hell in your hand. It doesn't even sound like a good Steely Dan song. Let's be honest.
Mr. Dan is upset. Do you know how Steely Dan got their name?
How?
They're named after a dildo in The Naked Lunch.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there's a scene in The Naked Lunch where this guy just pure size queens these dildos,
Nice.
and Steely Dan was the biggest dildo in the book.
Nice.
So there you go. Sounds perfectly sensible.
It sounds like
actually a heroin addict's grot adventures.
I never really had much of a relationship with Steely Dan, the dildo or the song, but
Thank you for clarifying.
until JoJo came about, and obviously Hirohiko Araki named characters after bands he likes, and I liked most of the bands he was naming, like characters after like Dio and now I can't remember Whamu,
Yes.
SCDC.
Yes.
But there was a character who, like, they couldn't call him Steely Dan in the English release. They had to call him Dan of Steel because Steely Dan got litigious.
Yes. They just called him Large Dildo.
Dan of Steel, which I don't know. I quite like it as a parody of Man of Steel as well.
The
but
thing
like,
is, as well, like with the JoJo translations, they can't use any of the band names for litigious reasons.
Yeah.
So like they have to have. It's like when you buy.
Some do.
Yeah, because some are just words, and
Aye.
it's not it's not incredibly obvious. But with other ones, it's like, see when you buy a knockoff perfume
Aye.
of like a brand perfume. So you buy Coco Chanel, and it's Coco Pop
Aye.
by Channel.
Aye. That's my favourite thing. It's like, reading JoJo and trying to work out who the band is. I was like, for a while I was like, who the fuck is Polnareff? But it turns out that was just a guy called Jean-Pierre Polnareff who was a guitarist. Never really listened to his stuff.
J. Jairu.
J. Jairu. Well, no, because he's called Centerfold in English.
I know, which is fine.
J. Jairu.
But in Japanese, he's J. Jairu, and I love that more.
So what did you think of Reeling in the Years, Katie?
Oh no, here we go. That was alright. It's big damn music, isn't it? It's just big damn music.
You can see like a bunch of...
Oh, my father would 100% listen to that in his garage when he's doing some woodworking.
You could see...
My dad's building a bird table right now. I know this for a fact.
He's listening to
I
Steely
know
Dan.
for a fact he's listening to Reeling in the Years. I don't even have to be near him to know that he's listening to Steely Dan.
Fucking bopping along.
Yep, just oh, you're reeling in the years. Well, he's sawing some woods. Like, that's not from Edinburgh. I don't know where that accent came
How do you reeling in the years, eh?
But I know my father will definitely have some Steely Dan on the old CD changer.
What did you think of the solo work?
Alright, see, this is right. I feel the need to explain to the peoples where I'm coming from here, right? So I started learning the guitar when I was 11 years old, right? As of this day, the 31st of January 2021, I'm 28 years old, which means that's 17 years I've had to get good at the guitar. I can play a G chord and I'm really good at that, and that's where I left it.
No, you are decent. You can play some riffs. You can play chords.
No. I am proficient. I am not decent.
I would say you were decent enough. You were above beginner level.
100%, but if you asked me to take an intermediate level exam, I would cry and then run away. But I think my issue with music, the way my hearing works, I hear everything very flat. So I've spoken before about not being able to parse the layers that you can hear, but you're a musician, so you can pick those out. So a solo for me is a means to an end. It's simply a movement in the song. I don't really think much about it. You're asking me what I thought of that. I have very rare emotional attachments to solos. I thought it was nice to listen to. It's quite jangly. I didn't think much of it above that.
I like the gain sound on the guitar and that. I think it's got like a nice tone to it.
Yeah.
The gain, I think, like in terms of like actual timbre. Of tone of the guitar itself, the settings all like nice and clearly set up.
We're just gonna have a wee look and check that your virginity's not grown back here.
No, like I like that solo obviously.
Yeah.
Otherwise I wouldn't have fucking picked it. But
yeah,
Steely Dan. If you're an old guy like me, I think you'll appreciate it.
You are a feather. You are like in your heart and soul. You said to me, Jamie and I are trying to move in together. We've been trying for 3 years. And he said to me the other day, "Do I really want a house so I can get a shed?" And I looked at him and I thought, we don't even have a flat yet, and you're wanting a fucking shed.
Of course I want a shed. I want a room where I can build things.
Well, you can have room in the flat to build things, but I think a shed's out a few dad levels away from you.
Right.
Yep.
Introduce your song, your first pick, Katie.
I have to.
Aye.
My first pick is Epic by Faith No More.
Track 2.
Jim Martin right there. Absolutely melting our faces off. In Epic by Faith No More. Now, Katie, that was your pick. Tell us why.
Oh no. Oh no. I'm so not confident in talking about this, but like, okay, you know how every single time we do this fucking podcast, in your own head you make up a set of rules for why you're picking the song you're picking.
Like I said with the underrated shit earlier.
Exactly, right. So in my head it was the songs that when I listen to them in the car, they make me take my hands off the steering wheel and do the air guitar and drive with my knees.
Like you're in fucking Bill and Ted.
Yeah, like I'm in Bill and Ted. Like I genuinely, like you can see me hurtling down the M9 at 77 miles an hour, like, driving with my knees, doing this solo on my own like air guitar. Like fuck the police. But yeah, that's why I picked it. When I think about solos, this is the only solo that comes to my head.
And it's, speaking of Bill and Ted, Jim Martin is in Bill and Ted 2. He appears as Jim Martin from Faith No More just before he left the band. He's an absolutely phenomenal guitarist. In all honesty, originally on my list, there was a Faith No More song.
Which you gave up.
Which I gave
so
up
that I could thrive.
So you could thrive and have Epic. But I really admire Martin's guitar work. He's an amazing guitarist, and he knows exactly when to hit beats. And like the way that solo was structured, where it rises until like the break of the solo really kicks off really nicely. And yeah, I was going to pick Everything's Ruined, which is one of my favourite solos of all time. Like, no joke.
Sorry.
What? No, it's fine. His solos are very lyrical. Again, it's not too, I'm very good at guitar, listen to what I can play. It's more about how the music works, like the melody and the notation kind of, it flows between.
Yeah, like you talk quite a lot about how good Eruption is, right? By
Eddie Van Halen.
Thank you. To me, there's a difference between, oh no, I'm about to say something really bad, like people are going to hate me for this. There's a huge difference between playing something because it fits in to the song, like it adds to the song, and getting your dick out and just smashing it on the fretboard so that everyone can see how good you are. Right,
I would say Eruption's like the perfect mix of that though, because it makes a song out of just how good he is at guitar. And I don't stand for like these big wanky solos particularly well. Like I cannot be arsed with Zakk Wylde. I cannot be arsed with like Dream Theater's like John Petrucci.
I can't either.
I can't be, like a lot of these people are very talented musicians, but I just can't be fucked with their...
But a 20-minute drum solo, I've got stuff to do. I've got a washing to put on.
Saying that, I do adore Inagara da Vida, which does have like a 4-minute drum solo in it.
Yeah, but that's been made tolerable by that scene of The Simpsons where
in the Garden of Eden.
Puts on in the church and then everyone's like putting up the candles.
That's a great song though. Like I think I can stand it in that context. It's modern. I've never been into like in Muggy Malmsteen or like even like Steve Vai and Joe Satriani to a point I get a bit sick of their stuff. There's bits I like, don't get me wrong, but like Joe Satriani's songs like Crowd Chant, it works because it's lyrical, because it's a crowd chanting the solo back at him.
Sorry, can I interrupt? Is that like when Freddie Mercury does the Deo thing?
It's kind of like that, but like the song's called Crowd Chant.
Yeah.
You've heard it. It's played at the EIHL games we went to all the time. That boo doo 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 doo.
Oh, right. Is that what that is?
That's Crowd Chant by Steve Vai. Not Steve Vai, Joe Satriani. What am I talking about? But a lot of these like virtuoso guitarists, I can take or leave. I like them when they're playing with bands. I like what's his name? He did the song with Rod Stewart, People Get Ready, Jeff Beck.
Right.
I like Jeff Beck in that sense, and I like Hi Ho Silver Lining, but a lot of his other guitar work is just masturbatory.
Are you saying that you don't love Santana and Matchbox 20's?
No, that's that song.
Just like the ocean under the moon.
I'll give Santana his due. Like, he's not my thing, but I can see he works.
Yeah.
Because his songs are like the other Steely Dan song, Do It Again. it's that smooth kind of guitar, and I think it works in that sense.
Right.
But it's, I mean, like guitarists whose only music is guitar. So, you know, Steve Vai or Joe Satriani or even Joe Bonamassa. And I like blues, but like that is wanky.
Right.
I'd rather listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan.
I'm doing a lot of nodding right now because you are mostly saying names.
Mostly saying guitarist names.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Faith No More. That's a phenomenal fucking song.
It is.
Mike Patton giving it fucking Yaldi. I mean, he had no input in writing that, sadly. This is the album that he came and performed on, really, for Faith No More. I think he helped with the vocal lines a little bit, but the songs were already written before. That's why I prefer Angel Dust, because Patton had a hand.
Yeah, and Angel Dust has RV on it.
Yeah. Angel Dust is an incredible album.
Yeah.
As we've no doubt mentioned on this fucking podcast
Many
before.
times, yeah.
But yeah, I love that solo, and I love the little piano solo at the end.
I was going to say, because there was a couple of times where, over the last 3.5 years where we've been taking a short sabbatical from this podcast, where I asked you, can I pick a piano solo instead? Because, like, the piano solo and Everything in Its Right Place are... Yeah, by Radiohead is one of my favourites. And I really like the piano at the end of this. Because again, hands are off the steering wheel and I'm like, do, 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 do.
My thing is, I think that's a separate list, because I could name about 40 piano solos.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. I love you and I'm choosing violence today and saying no.
No. Slap the dog on the nose and say no.
Rub its face in its own pish.
I know, like, genuinely that little piano bit at the end was one of the first things I had sat and worked out in piano, because I was so obsessed with it. I was just like, I need to work out how to fucking play this. It was really, really badly played, like really clunkily played, but like I got there in the end and I was just like, yes.
My name's Jamie and I'm so musical.
No, I just sat at the piano and hit notes until I heard it.
Jamie, I'm kidding because I'm jealous.
But Jim Martin didn't stay with Faith No More post Angel Dust. He had a bit of fallout with the band, still doesn't speak to them, which is a shame because he's great guitarists and they're all fantastic musicians and they made their best music when they were together. But I have a feeling that they are all fucking impossible to work with.
Oh, Mike Patton seems utterly just insane.
Right, so Patton's insane. Jim Martin is a bit pretentious and a bit insufferable. Mike Borden seems very nice. He's one of the few that I think he's a drummer. Sat at the back of the band. Roddy Bottum also seems fairly chill.
He's had problems with alcohol and drugs though, hasn't he?
No, sorry, Roddy Bottom's the keyboard player, that's who I'm thinking of. Roddy Bottom was very much addicted to heroin, so like, he would have been difficult to work with.
Yeah,
and Billy Gould also was pretty chill, but
am I wrong in saying that like Roddy Bottom wasn't on King for a Day Full for a Lifetime
as much? He wasn't as prominent.
Because he was in rehab.
Right, he was in it.
Some personal issues.
Yeah, he didn't contribute to the writing as much.
Right. Because
he wrote the liner notes for this is the nerdiest fucking shit. This is the most in-depth Faith No More chat, but
nerd.
Like because I've got King for a Day Full for a Lifetime on vinyl. So he wrote the liner notes for the reissue on vinyl, and he basically said, yeah, it's not my favourite Faith No More album because I barely had an input in it because I was going through rehab. He also had like a whole thing of like he like came out and stuff, and it was quite tough. And like on him mentally, I think. I don't. He probably got abuse for it, but I don't know. I've not heard much abuse.
No.
To be fair, like I wouldn't like to abuse somebody who's in a band with Mike Patton who might take my head off.
Mike Patton would kick you to death, and you would not even know it's happening because it would be so lyrical and beautiful. He would break all of your ribs as if it were scale.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
Yeah,
like you start playing a like fucking glockenspiel on your ribs.
Yeah, he's gonna break like your ankles in Spanish.
Yeah, Roddy Bottom famously dated Courtney Love and says she's the reason why he's gay as well, because she's horrible, according to Roddy Bottom.
According to everyone, really.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that solo.
Yes.
It's one of the first guitar solos I learned as well, so I can totally see why you picked it.
Okay.
It's a proper fun, like empowering, like kind of moment in the song, isn't it? Like
because every time, like I'm walking on eggshells right now because I'm relying on you to tell me that my picks have been good because as I've previously stated, my guitar work is passable and I have a very, very limited understanding of music. I'm good with singers because I sing as poorly as I sing, but I don't do guitar.
Well, I think you picked an absolute belter for your first choice.
Okay.
Speaking of which, we're going to move on. Next up, I have Black and White by the DBs. Track 3. The DBs with Black and White there. Now, I think that is one of the most underrated songs of all time. I've never heard anyone mention that song. I think that song deserves far more due than that gets. What do you think of it, Katie?
I just like the fact that their album is called Stands for Decibels.
Yeah, because they're his DBs.
Yeah, I think that's really funny. No, I thought it was a cool solo. It reminds me of something. It's really difficult to pick up in my head, kind of the era. Maybe kind of early Husker Du kind of...
yeah, it's like that, very much inspired by like the Birds and shit like that. You can hear that in it, you know.
Totally.
I think that whole song is so well put together. Like the lyrics and everything, like the hooks and the vocal parts, and then like that bit in the second verse where like everything else fades out and then the synth kind of line comes in the background and stuff like that. And you know, like there's so many little like moments. It has one of my favorite musical devices when they say stop and then cut the music.
Oh, I love that.
It's so like that kind of stuff. I'm just like, yes, that's, you know, it keeps engaging you and drawing you back in. And that solo, it fades like, specifically not the last one. The last one kind of edges towards the guitar wanky bit, but like it's building up towards the end of the song, so I'm not that bothered. It's also quite clipped, so it's good still. But that first solo kind of slowly builds in, and then it does like, it's just doing like some like little repetitive like rhythmic phrases like that, but then like the way it kicks back into the second chorus, and then all they do is like, so the guitar under the chorus of that song is like really fucking great. It's like really in your face. It's really that. But in the first chorus, it's just turned down a bit.
Right, okay.
So for the second one, they just kick that guitar up a little bit in volume. And it like really boosts the second chorus to sound completely different from the first. Yeah, I don't know. That song's got like all the punk ethos that I love.
Yes, that's the kind of vibe I got from it. And it seems it travels, it goes places, which I enjoy.
It's not a static song in the slightest.
Exactly. I was going to say, it doesn't feel very stagnant, whereas like with a lot of songs, I find a solo is simply used to break up a sense of stagnancy, and the fact that a song doesn't really go anywhere, it's just verse, chorus, verse, solo, chorus, end.
Yeah, whereas that, you know, to be fair, it's verse, chorus, solo, chorus, solo, end. Sorry, that's wrong. Verse, chorus, solo, chorus, solo. So, you know, like, it's not like the most structurally challenging, but I do think it does flow really nicely. Yeah. And I think the guitar work throughout, like even the non-solo stuff, the riffs are fantastic.
Yeah.
Like it's one of these things, like the first time I heard, I think I actually got recommended it on Spotify's Discovery thing. And I was like immediately hooked. I'm just like, oh, that sounds, you know, like it has that lovely chorusy guitar that sounds like it could be, you know, from early Police or, you know, stuff like that kind of era of music. Sorry.
It's okay. I don't really have. I can't really contribute here. I'm just sitting nodding, being like, "Oh yeah, verse, chorus, verse, absolutely."
For some reason, it also reminds me a little bit of "Come Up and See Me" by.
Oh, I can hear that. Yeah.
In the kind of boppiness of like, you know, maybe it's the structure actually, or like it's definitely the vibe. It's got that kind of energy to it, and yeah. At the end, everybody's just going fucking mental on their instruments. That bass is like fucking slapping it down, slapping the bass.
Oh, that's an old reference from an old movie.
And fucking the drummer's going ham and just, you know, smacking everything.
Yeah.
Smacking everything. Technical drum term, that. Smacking everything.
Technical, very. Yeah, no, it does give me big punk vibes. Big punk vibes. Big DIY vibes as well.
It reminds me of shit like the Vapors and, you know, that kind of new wave era of punk.
Yeah, like, do you know who it reminds me of? Minutemen.
Yeah, you can hear it.
It reminds me of it, and I absolutely love the Minutemen. I really do. Have you ever seen the Minutemen documentary? Oh, what's it called? Something We Drive Econo, I think it's called. I'm not entirely sure. I'll need to look it up. It's really, really good, and it basically describes how the Minutemen would book like midnight slots at studios, go in and play every single song in succession. Even if they fuck it up, they just play it in succession because it was cheaper. And like they just tour and sell CDs out their own van and stuff. And it was very, very DIY, and it gives me very big vibes of that.
It's very DIY.
Minutemen, like do-it-yourself, fucking big punk vibes, which I like.
It's just so short and clipped and well put together. No wankery in that at all. No masturbatory solos.
No.
Like, you know, it's just driving, and I like that about it.
It's very good.
Speaking of driving, I think the next one's quite a driving song.
It's Who's Gonna Drive You Home by the Cars.
No,
it's
not.
not.
Don't fake them out with that.
That's better than the Cars.
Is it fuck?
Right, okay, we can fight about this later. Okay, so this is my choice. And this is East Kilbride's Finest, Aztec Camera with Somewhere in My Heart.
Track 4. Any use in the Aztec camera?
Right, I have a hot take.
Aye, well,
Brace yourself. I think that song is as close to perfection as I'll ever get.
it is up there, I have to say.
It's got a guitar solo. It's got a sax solo. It's got that wee piano bit, like that goes do 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 do. It's so good.
Even the do do do.
Yeah, I did, but I had to commit because I'd forgotten.
You really had. Yeah. I'm glad you committed so boldly to that.
I did, because sometimes you just have to commit and let somebody tell you you're wrong, and that's okay because it's good to be wrong. It's a learning experience.
It really is.
Yes.
I agree, that song is close to perfect.
It's so good, and I cannot believe it came from East fucking Kilbride, the worst place on God's earth.
The only other thing that place is exported is roundabouts.
I've never been to a place with so many roundabouts. I had to do a delivery in East Kilbride a couple of months ago for brownies, right? Love that somebody bought them. Happy to deliver to East Kilbride. Totally fine. Every single roundabout looked the same, and I was like, I'm gonna die. I hadn't eaten in 8 hours. I was like, I'm gonna die in East Kilbride. I'm gonna starve to death in East Kilbride. My legs were shaking trying to do the clutch. I was crying. It was so much.
Just seeing the light coming towards you, Aztec cameras playing.
Yeah.
Do, 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 do.
Oh, if Aztec Camera were playing and I was dying, it would be Killamont Street, not Somewhere in My Heart.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Killamont Street is one of my favourite Aztec Camera songs, but I do believe Somewhere in My Heart is the closest to perfection I will ever get. Now let's talk about some riffs.
Like,
some solos, actually.
Yeah.
I keep getting that wrong and I don't know why.
I don't know, every single time we brought it up for the past month, you've been like, I don't know about guitar riffs. I was like, that's good because it's not about guitar.
I know, but I'm not technically minded and they seem like the same thing to me. It's just people playing the guitar.
Anyway, I've loved that song ever since I was wee.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't know what it was when I was young because I wasn't really into music until I was about, 9 or 10.
Yeah.
8, 9 or 10. 2004. What age was I in 2004? 9, I would say.
It's a right Scottish mammy's song.
It was, well, I'll tell you what, it was on Fourth One all the fucking time. Growing up, I remember this. They'd be like, it's our throwback hour, and they would chuck on Aztec Camera because it's a fucking bop. And the way, like, right, that does, when you actually look at it technically, that song sounds dated as fuck. It's, production-wise, it's so mired in the 80s. But then, taking it apart.
It's from the 90s, not the 80s.
Is it from the 90s?
I'm fairly sure that Love came out in the 90s. Can I check that?
Aye, please
I'm
check
fairly
that.
sure that
But
Love...
that production, I step by that, the production sounds stuck in the 80s. It's got a fucking sax solo. And the guitar and everything feels so nostalgic about it.
No, you're right, 87,
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, it was late 80s. Everything about the production of that song sounds like it's in the 80s. But then it doesn't matter. It's a fucking bop.
It's such a bop.
It's in the same kind of production class as Waiting for a Star to Fall.
Yes.
Is it by Boy Meets Girl? Is that the name of that band? I think so. But like, it doesn't matter. Even back in like the early 2000s, it felt like a modern pop song because it was just so well put together. The hooks are good. The lyrics are just generic enough to get you straight in there, Somewhere in My Heart. But then, like, the lyrics are good. It doesn't matter if they're generic. Ambition and love, wearing boxing gloves and singing hearts and flowers is really good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's just so well put together.
Yeah.
And then that solo kicks in. It's an absolute face melter. It's a Bill and Ted fucking excellent moment built into a fucking amazing pop song.
Yeah, but like, I think...
Can you not air guitar to that song?
Well, we certainly did.
I was going to say, like, whenever I hear it, I'm just like, I want to fucking just start fucking two-hand tapping, like shredding,
Like, that's a song that I'm no expert, as I have made it abundantly clear, but I don't understand why more people have... like, a lot of times if there's a good riff in a pop song, like maybe bands who... solo, in a pop song, a lot of times, like maybe metal kind of fans will kind of glom onto it and be like, okay, that's a good song because it's got a good solo. I don't understand why that's not been taken up and like translated into other genres, because it would do really well. Maybe it's because it's a niche pop song from Scotland from the 80s.
Maybe it is. It's Scottish, and maybe it isn't as big everywhere else.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know if down south they'll play this as much. I don't know.
I don't know how the people feel about Aztec Camera. Like,
I don't think this is particularly Scottish though.
I don't think it is. I think there's a lot more Aztec Camera songs that are a lot more Scottish.
It's not like Rip It Up is still a Scottish song to me. I can still hear Scotland in that. I can still hear Scotland in Travis. That feels like a genius pop song that's kind of borderless to me.
Yeah, regardless of locale.
And like, it does feel timeless. Even the video's timeless for it. That black and white.
It's kind of sepia, kind of yeah.
Yeah, it's classic, and like the sax solo is amazing. The piano works amazing. Just the structure is so good. That kind of that bridge, that who can heal, who's never been as one, and our hearts have been torn since the day we were born.
Just like everyone from Westwood to Hollywood. I don't even know where Westwood is. I'm assuming it's somewhere in East Kilbride.
I'm fairly sure it's California, isn't it?
On.
Westwood to Hollywood.
Sorry, where's Westwood?
This is a great bit.
Oh, it's in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. So
it's generic enough to be in East Kilbride. Let's just move on.
From the Westwood to the other field. You can buy time, but you can't yield. I don't know.
See, we're improving on it. I do. I think it's a great song, and I think that Love's a great album. I think Knives a great album as well.
Yeah, they are a little bit forgotten about now.
Yeah, very much so.
Are the old Aztec camera, but partially because they've been associated with your old da.
Yeah.
That's it, and that's a shame because I don't think they're old da music. Steely Dan's old da music. Aztec Camera's old ma music.
It's kind of, my mum fucking loves Aztec Camera.
Everybody's ma loves Aztec Camera.
When I got my mum and dad's records, my mum was like, right, you need to listen to these three. These are three of my favourite albums. This is Knife, this is Love, and this is Stray, and you're going to love every single one of them.
My mum went around Australia with 4 albums and Love was one of them.
Yeah.
The other was Prefab Sprout.
Oh dear.
And then there was Jesus and Mary Chain.
Nice.
And I can't mind the last one. But like genuinely that was it.
We drove to France and the only album we had was fucking Oasis Hindu Times.
Oh god. I'd rather have Love.
It was absolutely diabolical. Oh no, that's not true. We drove to France and that was true. We drove to Italy and the only 2 albums we had were Rod Stewart and The Small Faces, the best of, and the best of Meatloaf.
Oh god.
And after
I would do anything for Love, but I won't do that.
After CD1 of Rod Stewart out the window in the middle of Switzerland.
Some poor Swiss bastard picking it up being like, Rod Stewart. I don't know why they
Was ist das?
Was ist das? Well, I was trying to do a Swiss impression, but
I don't know what Swiss people sound like.
I was just like, what does Dayon sound like? My Swiss cousin.
Yeah. Dayon sounds like Dayon. Dayon doesn't have an accent.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hello Dayon, hope you're doing well. If
niche,
you ever listen to this. Right, next up is my pick. It's a fucking weird pick. It's Transdermal Celebration by Ween. Your old weird Uncle Ween there with Transdermal Celebration.
I love weird shit though. I love Primus.
I know. Ween are one of those bands that everything's a bit like, what the fuck did I just listen to? Think of Ocean Man. Think of anything off Guava. Have you ever heard Push the Little Daisies by Ween?
No, I don't think so.
Oh god. I won't put that. Will go on a hard sales list.
Okay.
If we ever do another hard sales, I'll put Push the Little Daisies on it. We spoiler there. But yeah, no, that's a very recent addition to this list. I papped Jessie's Girl by Rick Springfield off the list for this. So,
you tried to give it to me.
Aye, fuck yourself, Rick Springfield. If you're listening, try harder next time.
I don't think he's listening.
I hope Rick Springfield listens to this and knows that he should try harder than writing hit song Jessie's Girl. I don't know, like, I added that to the list partially because that like little lick in the intro is fantastic. That, you know, it leads the song really nicely and the song flows really well because of the guitar. It's a guitar-led song, really, isn't it? But it has that kind of weird Ween kind of feel to it, and like the guitar throughout is like really fun. Like the little backing bit in the second verse, like just, you know, doing kind of underneath the singing is fantastic. That was a song that I heard for the first time earlier this week, I think. I have a feeling I heard it years ago, but maybe that's part of it. I immediately, you know, wanted to sing along with it. Every single bit, I was just like, oh, I want to sing along to that. And it's like a genius work of like tricking your brain into being nostalgic for something you've never heard before. And yeah, I don't know. I love that song.
You're a Ween boy now.
I'm a Ween boy now. I'm going to have to go and listen to the rest of Ween's back catalogue.
Oh no.
Good luck with that.
Oh no.
Like the solo itself is pretty, is you know, good.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's like, it's not too face melty, but it plays up nicely. It comes in as a good burst from silence after the little guitar lead riff. And there's like 3 different things like that can be considered a chorus in that song. Well, there's two. Little kind of bridge bit, that hey hey, a million miles to Marquee, could kind of be kind of chorusy, but it's also kind of bridgy. So it's just such I love that song. How do you feel about it, Katie?
That's fine.
It's fine?
That's fine, yeah. I wouldn't ask you to turn it off.
What do you feel about the boy's voice? Because I think that's the hardest sell of Ween.
I don't think it's the hardest sell.
Really?
His voice is fine. Yeah, it's absolutely fine. There's nothing particularly like here or not there about it. Not that I'm in any way like, not sitting here as Freddie Mercury with my 18 octaves of range, but no, it's good. It's fine. It simply is what it is. It exists, and I'm not asking to turn it off. But I do not think I should be running to my record store and banging on the door and going, "Open up, open up!" I demand to have Ween records. I demand it, even in this global pandemic. I demand my Ween records.
I wanted to pick this one because it's a good exemplification of that late 90s, early 2000s alternate kind of style of guitar solos.
Yeah.
You'll hear this in stuff by Ween or like Weezer. Like it reminds me of like some of the solos off of the Blue album by Weezer. Like I could easily have picked like what's that track? There's a couple tracks in Pinkerton with like some nice solos on it and stuff. But like I wanted to exemplify that for a solo to be note perfect, it doesn't need to be necessarily complex. It doesn't need to melt your face. It just needs to work melodically.
Yeah.
And I think that whole song flows so well, partially because the solo works so melodically.
Sure, yeah.
And I think it happens at like just the right moment. It doesn't outstay its welcome. It's just there as like a good piece of music to take you to the next part of the song.
Yes.
Now that was a brief segment, but shall we move on?
I mean, I don't have much to say about transdermal celebrations. I'm all about celebrating over the skin, not through it. So yes.
So we'll move on. Okay.
Cool. Okay, well my next pick is Electioneering by Radiohead. The many highs and lows of Tom York there with Electioneering, Radiohead.
So I hope you don't mind me saying this.
Yes.
When you were struggling to pick songs,
yes,
you asked for some suggestions.
I did very many times. Yes.
Of like bands, or something that you like that that you could pick a solo from, because you were struggling to define what a solo was.
Absolutely.
Like in terms of some of the stuff you'd like listen to. So I suggested Radiohead, specifically the band's era, because it's that album's just is my favorite Radiohead album, partially because it's just Jonny Greenwood going fucking mental.
Yeah.
On the guitar, and like from that you got Electioneering, the most bend sounding song on OK Computer.
Yes.
What do you like about that song then,
That
Katie?
song is the epitome of chaos. And I love that.
It is. It's like, right, so the bend is like very big driving guitars. It's very kind of 90s kind of sounding guitars. That was a great impression of a guitar right there. Thank you so much. Whereas that is just chaos, but it's produced chaos, you know what I mean? Like you can tell.
But like, right, okay, so the song obviously is about politics. Electioneering kind of gives it away a wee bit, right?
Right.
But I think it does speak a lot to the kind of organised chaos that is politics. I mean, a couple of years ago, it was discovered that our Prime Minister fucked a pig's head. If that's not chaos, I don't know what is.
I keep bringing that up, and people have forgotten about that already.
No, don't forget about it. Don't forget about it. It's
David
real and
Cameron
it
put his penis in a dead pig's mouth.
Yes.
Remember that, children.
Remember it. Because they'll try and tell you it didn't happen. And it did.
It did. We are not hampered by big media here on our tiny podcast with 5 listeners.
Yeah, the only big media here is Fat Katie.
Is that your new fucking stripper name, Big Media?
Big Media.
That would... I tell you what, actually,
Tit.
that would be a great wrestling name.
Big Media.
Oh my god, it's Big Media!
Yeah, I'd be good at that.
JR!
I've seen Botchamania. I understand that reference. I like the chaos of it as well with the last solo in the song.
Yeah, where it like drops to silence and then suddenly kicks up again.
Yes.
And it's like, it's just like politics. Just when you think the fucking madness is over, some bullshit fucking happens and the chaos begins again.
Exactly. And it's a really good solo. It's
a
really...
like, Greenlee's guitar work throughout that song and album
Yeah.
are like fucking amazing.
Yeah, he's another kind of Trent Reznor type where he's translated so smoothly to doing soundtracks you don't even know it's him who's doing it. Like he did There Will Be Blood and it's phenomenal.
But you can hear that totally on OK Computer.
Yes.
Because exit music for films on the Bends, isn't it?
No, it's on.
Is it on OK
I think
Computer?
It's on OK Computer, but now I'm
yeah.
gonna check.
No, sorry. Street Spirit Fade Out's on the Bends.
Yes.
Exit music for films on this. You know,
Yes.
like a lot of these like more subtle guitar lines Greenlee also pulls off.
Well, exit music was for Romeo and Juliet, was it not?
I didn't know that.
I'm fairly sure exit music was used in Romeo and Juliet. Hence it being exit music for a film. Yeah.
Like Greenlee's guitar can be bombastic. It can be like the Bends. It can be like, you know, but it can also be let down.
Yes.
Where there's a lovely like guitar led song, but it's more subtle, but it can also be chaotic like this, and it is pure like I love the high octane kind of distortion of this like that, and fucking that bit where Tom York goes like that. That's my favorite bit of the song. Because he's just going fucking mental.
My favorite bit of the song is listening to everyone singing along to it, trying to do the chorus. Do you?
No, it's an absolutely great song on a smashing album.
Yeah, it feels
Enemy's top album of the decade.
It feels kind of trite to pick a song off OK Computer.
Right.
But like,
I think, you know, OK Computer has been called overrated, and I can totally see why. But I don't know. Like, this is an album that looking at it objectively, I should be saying it's overrated. It's fucking not. It's an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's appropriately loved.
Yeah.
OK Computer is one of these albums that you can only put in a class with something like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club's Band, or like, you know, Paranoid by Black Sabbath, where they are appropriately loved for being works of genius.
Yeah.
And, you know, you might be sick of hearing about them, but then when you actually go and listen to them, you're like, oh no, that's a really fucking good album.
I agree. I think OK Computer is good. Thank you.
That was a hot take right there.
Thanks.
OK Computer, the album, pretty good.
It's pretty
good.
It's pretty fucking good.
It's not my favourite Radiohead album. Is it yours?
Yeah, kind of. I really like that, and I like Hail to the Thief as well.
I like Hail to the Thief, and I like The Bends is my favourite.
Yeah.
But then I like that era of Radiohead. When we saw them, they played both The Bends and Fake Plastic Trees. They played Let Down off this.
They did, which was awesome.
That was incredible, honestly. Yeah, they were like, I'll be honest, I wasn't into them at all when we saw them, and I came out of that gig and I was like, okay, Radiohead are really fucking good. Yeah, they played Paranoid Android and I was like, you know, like, I've heard this. And like, I think that's the thing that's most overexposed of this album is Paranoid Android.
Paranoid Android's not on this album?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I didn't think it was. Okay.
Yeah, it is. I just checked. Well, I think that riff in Paranoid Android's overplayed, and I don't like it very much.
Okay.
And I think it's a bit cringe. But
why is it a bit cringe?
I don't know. For some reason, it feels edgy to me.
Okay.
It's partially because of the video.
Right.
Where it's like, you know, like all these like fucking 90s counterculture shit, but it's so corporately done because it's like bad animation all over the video, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I'm glad you picked Electioneering and not...
Electioneering is my favourite Radiohead song.
Is it?
Well, that or They're There.
I thought you liked Airbag.
Oh, or Airbag, yeah. But Airbag doesn't have a discernible kind of riff in it,
Yeah,
does
I was
it?
going to say my favourite Radiohead
Solo
song...
fuck!
Sorry. My favourite Radiohead song's Fake Plastic Trees, but that doesn't have a solo in it.
Yeah. That's it, Fake Plastic Trees.
What?
Is it really Fake Plastic Trees?
Yeah.
I would have thought you would have picked a deeper cut than that. That seems like a...
Fake Plastic Trees or...
I'm not criticising you if that's your favourite song, my god.
There's another one in the Bends, but I can't remember. So the thing is, I listen to the Bends all the fucking time, but I don't
Baby's got the Bends.
I do actually really like the Bends as well.
I know. Thanks.
No, it's probably Fake Plastic Trees, Let Down, or Nice Dream.
Yeah, Nice Dream's a great song.
It really is. Anyway, that's enough
Radiohead.
Ranting about
That's
Radiohead.
enough Radiohead.
Here's my last pick, and I'm partially very sorry about this.
No, you're fucking not.
Yeah, I am. It's The Hero and the Madman by Thin Lizzy. Would once again like to apologise. If you managed to stick with that, well done. There's a method in my madness, right? That song is quite bad for the majority of it, quite bad.
Okay.
Especially the lyrics. The lyrics are terrible.
Okay.
Honking lyrics in that song. I kind of like the cheesiness of it, because it is cheesy. There's no denying that.
It just sounds like a Frank Zappa song, though.
It does. Like, it goes into, like, this is like pushing hard sell territory, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I also kind of thought it sounded like Captain Beefheart as well.
Yeah, it's got that. That's basically Zappa, isn't it? Given
I've just repeated myself, haven't I?
No. To be fair, it's like a fair comment. It is just that kind of style of 70s rock.
Yeah.
And that's on the same album as Whiskey in the Jar.
Right.
It's that kind of, it's the deep cut on that album, I would say. And, like, I think a lot of people would be turned off by, like, that fucking narrator of that shit story. He tippy-toed to where his woman was. Is, like, the kind of shit lyrics you're getting in that.
Is there a drip in your ceiling, or are you spitting on me?
I think I'm spitting on you a wee bit. But that guitar solo at the end is a work of genius. It's a face melter. Mm-hmm. And it builds up after a lovely little bass line from Phil Lynott, and it slowly builds up, and then some kicks back in, and that guitar is absolutely screaming.
Yeah.
It's proper, like, one of my favourite solos of all time.
Yeah.
And that's saying that despite how much I dislike the rest of the song. Like, don't get me wrong, like, I like it in that kind of Zappa, cheesy way. Mm-hmm. But, it's not something I would stick on until that end that kicks in, and I'm just like, oh, that's up there with Mr. Crowley.
Yeah.
That's up there with Crazy Train. That's up there with fucking NIB. It's a fucking solo and a half. Mm-hmm. And it's an absolute tour de force of different guitar techniques as well. Like, it's proper good 70s rock and roll music. Mm-hmm. Katie, how did you handle The Hero and the Madman by Thin Lizard?
It's not really my thing. Thin Lizzy aren't really my thing. But I mean, yeah, like, it's okay.
I go through periods of really liking Thin Lizzy and then not being arsed with him for a wee bit. I really like Phil Lynott. Mm-hmm. I love his voice. I think he's got a great voice. And I think he's a phenomenal bassist.
Totally.
But a lot of their stuff edges on kind of pretentious for me.
I'll be honest, I've never sat down and listened to Thin Lizzy because I've never had a desire to.
This is going to be like a bit of a travesty. My favourite Thin Lizzy song is Dancing in the Moonlight.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know it?
No.
It's just a poppy, like, 80s. It's like 80s era Thin Lizzy, like early 80s, and it's just poppy. It's a nice song.
Is it as good as Dancing in the Moonlight?
I would say it's better, but that song has been played to death for me. I work in a shop and it's on the playlist, so I hear that 3 times a day, every day. Yeah,
but do you not, like, hear it and you're like, oh, Primary 7 disco?
No, because I did for a while, and now that's gone. All joy for that song's gone for me, because I used to absolutely love that song, and now, no.
Do you know my mum was dancing around the kitchen the other day? This is related, because she needed to get steps up on her counter.
Aye.
And she said to me, think about a high tempo, think about a fast song, What's that song? Steps 2, 3, 4. And I was like, do you mean 5, 6, 7, 8? And she's like, yes, 2, 3, 4, 5. Linda, for fuck's sake. So we played it, and then she said to me, can you think of another one? I said, Cotton Eye Joe. She went, I don't know that song. And then I put it on, she was like, if I hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, like dancing around the kitchen, like, this was the best day of her life. It was quite something, but that just reminded me of Primary 7 discos.
Yeah, so, I feel that. Fucking imagine you were at a Primary 7 disco and they played The Hero and the Madman by Thin Lizzy.
I'd be leaving for a Capri Sun and a small pickin' mix.
I have to say, there's like little bits, little details that are, like, I find hilarious. Like, I'm like, why would you choose that? Like the vocoder on. Do you know what a vocoder is? So it's something.
Yes, Cher uses it extensively.
Well, that's auto-tune as well. But,
Cher uses vocoder extensively. I know what it is.
For the layman, it's like a microphone you plug into your synthesizer. It's a setting on your synth, and it means you can change the what your voice sounds like.
Yeah.
So it makes you sound a bit more robotic. It can auto-tune you doing that as well. As a Cher's uses of it.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
Yeah, that's got some vocoder in it. Well, that whole line, that Domo arigato, is in a vocoder, but that little pitch up line, like they pitched it like 2 octaves above for the are you the hero or are you the madman in the chorus, really reminds me of fucking. It's so silly, it takes me out of the song a bit, and it reminds me a little bit of Big Mouth Strikes Again by the Smiths, where they do the same thing, but for some reason it works in Big Mouth Strikes Again.
It's just, like, as a song, it's just somebody's D&D adventure.
It really is.
Like, it's genuinely just somebody, like, at the D&D, just like, oh, yep.
That I have to say that fucking stoned whoever they got the guy. And the only way to save me, says the wizard, sends me every time. Like, honestly.
No, because you were just like giggling away when you were listening to
I
it.
was just like, for fuck's sake, man. But then, like that whole song, I'm like giggling away at the start. And I'm like, like the bass is good, and the guitar's like using a wah, and like making some pretty like funky 70s music that's just like still passably good. Like, I have to say, when I'm criticizing this song for being a bit pish, I'm talking exclusively about like the kind of narration aspect and like Phil Lynot's lines. I do actually like the second verse where it kicks in, and it's like the crowd chanting and narrator is like a bit of a struggle for me, but Phil Lynot's lines in that, that but the world's on fire kind of bit, the way he sings that, I'm like, okay, that's good. It's just so it's just kind of vocally, the rest of the song is not good. And then but it ends on that odyssey of a solo, and that's an odyssey of a solo. So that's my kind of pick, to represent Neil Young, to represent Leonard Skinner, to represent all these solos that are fucking face melting and over a minute long.
Right.
Usually if it's Neil Young or Leonard Skinner, over 3 minutes long.
Unnecessary.
That's why I didn't pick them. Anyway, last song of the week, Katie.
Dig, if you will, a picture. This is When Doves Cry by Prince.
Thank you.
Oh my god, I love that song so much.
That is a face melter or 12.
Every single solo in that song. I didn't realise how many of them there were. The song is just solos sellotape together.
It really is. I mean, like, that's Prince's mixing style was, is there space in the mix? I'm going to chuck some fucking shred in there.
Do you know what's not here? A synth solo.
No, even if it's not a guitar, there's something fucking going ham in the background.
I'm pretty sure if you gave Prince like a McDonald's, he'd do a solo on the Big Mac wrapper after he was finished with it and just put it in a song.
That song is like ingeniously mixed as well. Like, honestly, it's like that whole album's perfection. It's one of the best albums ever recorded in my opinion. For sure. And put together.
I've never seen Purple Rain. Have you seen Purple Rain?
No, I really like it.
We should watch Purple Rain.
Yes.
Yeah. I think
just us getting excited about Prince now.
I think that the riff is
If you're wondering what that noise is, listeners, that is Katie saying riff for the 40th time when she meant to say solo.
I can't fucking do this anymore.
It's the last one, go on.
I think that the solo at the start is such a statement of intent, though.
I like that it's like straight off, just like fucking bam, like that. And like a lot of that album either starts or ends on solos. And that's an absolute intro to that song. It's the only solo that we've picked today that is right at the start, like right up front. I mean, there's a solo later as well, but like that, the one we're really talking about is the one up front. Yeah. Because you're like, as soon as like that kicks in, you're like, oh shit. Yeah. It grabs your attention. It's like a smash cut. You're like, fuck, what's happening here? And then the drums kick in, and then the synth follows, and then you're just like, okay, this is a bop. Yeah, Prince is taking you where Prince wants you to go. It's not the other way around. You're going on a journey with Prince. Dig, if you will, a solo. Not a riff. You and I engaged in a riff. Gonna have a stroke. I'm so fucking mad at myself constantly saying riff. I really like that. I really, really enjoy that. I love Prince so much, though. I'm really sad that I wasn't super into Prince when he was alive. Yeah, I didn't get into Prince till like 2 years ago, and I'm gutted that I never got a chance to see him. Yeah, because my parents aren't super into Prince. Near mine. Is like kind of weird to me, because it seems like music my dad would certainly be into, because he loves that kind of genre-defying artist auteur. Oh, it's not an auteur, it's a what would you call that in terms of music? Auteur, and a director. It's like a visionary. Don't know. Prince, yeah, or Beck. Don't you start don't start with me. Don't try and put Beck in the same league as Prince. No, I'm not. There's a league table and Prince is at the top, and Beck is down at the bottom. No, he's not he's not in the relegation zone. He is. He's below Ozzy Osbourne. No, he's in the middle, having a fun time singing songs in Spanish to like fucking reggae beats and stuff. It's great. Yeah, no, I really like that song. That was another one you helped me kind of pick, because you suggested Let's Go Crazy. Yeah. Which I do love. Dearly beloved. We are gathered here today to get through this thing called life. Because that song ends on a fucking face melter of a solo. And that ends in a very traditional solo. That ends on like a rock and roll blues solo where it's a burst at the end of the song and something kicks in, he's fucking going ham as fuck, and then the rest of the band kick and go do 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 do.
Yeah.
Whereas this is more interesting. This is more Prince doing his own thing.
I love that.
It's not rooted in any form or genre set before it. It's
simply Prince.
It is When Doves Cry.
Yes, it is.
Which is probably his most famous song, right?
I would say so, yeah. I think that's... Or Purple Rain.
Yeah, Purple... I keep putting on Purple Rain at work and everybody loves it.
Oh, but it's so good.
That album's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, he could have just made this album and then just never made music again, and he would have, had his contribution to music.
Yeah, I don't think he could have lived, though.
No. He's like David Bowie. He had to create and create and create up until, know, he passed. And I respect that in terms of creatives.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that.
Absolutely.
I feel similarly. I'm nowhere near as good, but I need to put things together and I need to make things.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people are driven by creativity, and I think Prince was definitely one of those people, as was David Bowie. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Even like his appearances and stuff like New Girl, which is like, right, New Girl's a good pish show. And apparently... Like, I love, like, the mystique. He has that kind of old school celebrity to him that Nick Cage kind of falls in this. They like they used to like to just do shit to kind of build a mystique. Mm-hmm. Build, an enigma around their character.
Yes.
And, yeah. His appearance in New Girl, because he just apparently emailed the writers and was like, I got his assistant to, obviously, because Prince doesn't fucking email.
Prince doesn't email. 100% Prince doesn't email. He's not like, Billy Idol.
No, he's not on the forums like Billy Idol.
Exactly.
He was just like, here, Prince is a fan. He'd like to show up in an episode. And they're like, cool, do you want us to write a character? He's like, no, he wants to be Prince. So he shows up and plays Prince and does a song.
But that's the thing, though. Prince characterised himself, though, didn't he? By being the artist formerly known as Prince. Despite Prince is his name.
Yeah.
Prince was his name. His name, But he was like, okay, don't call me Prince anymore. I've transcended Prince. Now I'm back to Prince. The only mark I've left of my name being a symbol is this guitar that I will play, despite it being probably so uncomfortable and just poking me in the balls 24/7.
That guitar is an aesthetic.
Yeah, it's such a vibe. It's so cool.
And everything he did was an aesthetic.
Yeah.
Including his number one song, Bat Dance.
Love Bat Dance.
Roller
skating Prince.
Vicky Vale.
Love it. I love it.
Prince is the fucking man. And I don't think he gets enough appreciation in terms of metal scenes. Yes. I could be wrong in that. I could be wrong, because people, when they talk about the best guitarists of all time, do often put Prince up there. Mm-hmm. And I do think he's up there. I think he's a very clever musician. I don't know if I would put him up there as the best guitarist, but he's definitely up there as a musician and one of the most creative musicians going.
For sure.
And I don't know if that's necessarily present in all his guitar work, because a lot of his guitar work is very rooted in genres and stuff already created, like his blues kind of stuff, and it is very blues inspired. But growing up as a guitarist, and I played guitar, I should have probably said this at the top, I played guitar since I was 9. I was never introduced to Prince. I was never put forth Prince up there with Jimi Hendrix or Tony Iommi or like Iron Maiden or Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin. I think he's left out of the conversation because his music doesn't fit into a rock mold or a metal mold. Or, like a kind of heavier mold, because his music, pop music, is guitar is kind of dismissed sometimes, and I think that's completely unfair.
But there's that kind of thing in the metal community of, and I'm generalising massively here, but like just dismissing pop music.
There's more of a thing in the metal guitar community specifically. Depends on what aspect of the metal community you're at. And there is that, I'm not denying that exists. But, for example, I went to see Devin Townsend. He did a DJ set before and he played the Venga Boys and lots of pop songs. And everybody was dancing like it was a lot of fun. But then I think Devin Townsend fans tend to, because his music's a bit more out there, speaking of another amazing guitarist, by the way, tend to kind of have a more broader take on music. Because his music is a bit more all-encompassing.
Absolutely.
It can go from very heavy to very acoustic to very, weird. Like,
yeah. But I mean, just from my own kind of perspective, growing up as a music snob, I do find the worst snobbery I've encountered has been from metal fans.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The pretension.
Who I love deeply, and who, like I do really like. And there's a lot of metal music I really like, and so some of my best friends are metal fans.
Some of you
but like
I grew up as a metalhead, and I dismissed a lot of pop music.
Yeah.
But I was luckily enough, like I got into music via 4 bands really. Franz Ferdinand, Black Sabbath, Green Day and The Killers were kind of my route into music. So I had like a good enough kind of mix of pop in there to keep me grounded, I think. But there was a few years where I was just like, oh, is it not Lamb of God? If it's not as heavy as Lamb of God or Arch Enemy and Angela Glosso's voice, you know, that kind of wanky.
Yeah, I think though,
if it's not like smacking you in the face, it's not good music. And I grew out of that quite quickly.
Yeah, I think pop music is dismissed as something that's temporary.
Yeah, and I don't agree with that.
Yeah, something that's kind of throwaway.
Aye, disposable.
Yeah, thank you. That's the exact word I was looking for. And like Prince is not disposable.
No, that album is essential. I think that should be on every bit. Like, you know, if I was to make a list of 50 albums, which I will at some point in my life, because that's just the way my brain works.
Okay, High Fidelity.
I know, but that is genuinely how my brain works. Have you ever read the book High Fidelity, that list thing? That's me.
Yeah.
If I ever had to make a list of 50 albums that you had to listen to in your time that you're allotted, this would be on there.
Yeah.
This would be so far on there.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's, especially if you're a guitarist, this album's an essential piece of listening because it shows you don't need to be into your wanky metal or your jazz or, you know, like all this stuff where the guitar's very complex, but some of the music's a bit more unapproachable.
Yeah.
I think you can still write a good sort of pop song and have a fucking whale of a solo in it.
Oh yeah, I'd see also Somewhere in My Heart.
Yep. See When Doves Cry,
Yeah.
see Somewhere in My Heart, see Let's Go Crazy, see Santana and Rob Top. No,
Just like an ocean under a moon.
So that's it for this week. That's the Guitar Wank episode over for now. We'll come back to it at some point.
Oh no.
In the far, far, far future to give Katie some peace.
My head hurts.
Our next episode theme is Joyous Jams. Now, I want songs that exude exuberance. Just songs that make you feel ethereally happy when they come on.
I am going to pick songs that feel like warm sunshine on your back.
Yeah, I want songs that lift you up when you're at your bleakest point. And we did the melancholy masterpieces last year because last year, let's be honest, was a shitter of a year. We need to get past this and to get through this shit time that we're in.
Yes.
We need to make positive steps. So tell me the music that makes you feel positive.
Yes.
On Twitter, at 8Tracks Podcast. You can leave it in the comments on YouTube. I don't think there's comments on Spotify.
There's not.
I don't know how they work, but
you're getting more Steely Dan by the minute.
I think there's comments on Acast where we're actually hosted if you fancy listening to us on there too. Yeah. So thank you very much for listening. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, sluts.
Thanks, sluts. Right. Stay safe.
Wash your hands, tell your mum you love her.
Bye.
Bye.